Welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about another important API in Redux Toolkit called createAsyncThunk. Alright, so this is also used to create an action when dealing with async calls. So assuming you want to talk to external API to fetch some post and you want to handle the promises, this is a right tool for you. So in this video, we are going to demonstrate by creating another project called PostList using JSON placeholder to demonstrate how to use this API. Alright, so the important thing you need to take note here is that here you create your action thunk separately and use it inside your create slice. So first, we're going to create our action and then we handle it inside our create slice. But the takeaway here is that understand that the response coming back from your request has two things: one, pending, fulfilled, and reject. And we need to handle this state inside our create slice, right? So let's get going. Let's go to the official documentation of Redux Toolkit, and under createAsyncThunk, it says that a function that accepts a Redux action type string and a callback function that should return a promise. It generates promise lifecycle depend on the action types based on the action type prefix. And so like I said, it returns what? Both three things: pending, fulfilled, and rejected, right? So let's go back to the slides. When it's loading, when it's fetching, the state becomes pending. When everything goes right, fulfilled, and rejected means the request was failed, and you can handle the error as well. All right, so here let's see how you can create that action. So first, we bring in your createAsyncThunk. Where is it? Yeah, let me make it big. All right, you bring in your createAsyncThunk like that, and then your create slice, both from Redux Toolkit. And then first, let's create your thunk. This is going to help us to make the call to the external API. So you assign your function to a variable, and then you call your createAsyncThunk, and then you pass in your action type, right? And then a callback as this, and second argument to be your function. And here we're going to make requests to the external API. All right, so now let's handle this in our create slice. So here we have our initial state being entities and loading, and your reducers. So here we can pass your custom reducers from the previous video. And the most important thing here is what you call extra reducers. Remember, create slice accepts what? Reducers. And if you want to handle all the promises lifecycle in your reducer, we pass another parameter called extra reducers. And this is going to help us to what? Handle the life cycle of our API calls, right? So here you could see that we are using the build notation to add case our action type, and on that we have fulfilled, and then you can handle your state. All right, so with this in place, let's go to JSON placeholder, and then let's try to is JSON placeholder, and let's get one API you want to work on. So the one you want to work on, let's work on which one? Let's call this one post, the post API, and give us this request. All right, so let's go back to our project and implement that and make a request to this API and display it inside our React application. So let's get going. All right. So here, let's refactor the application a little bit. This time around, I'm not going to use counter app. So let's remove some of the files. I'll provide a complete GitHub repository code for this project, so don't worry. So let's remove this one. This time around, let me call this one post list. Okay, and let's remove these ones. We don't need it. Let's remove all the imports from the previous video. All right, so next let's go to our counter slice 2. Let's delete this one from the previous video. Let's delete, and then the counter slice, let's remove everything from the counter slice. Our import will fail because we've made changes to that. All right, so let's see how we can make use of the createAsyncThunk. So the first thing you need to do is what? Bring in the hook or the API from Redux Toolkit, and here we need createAsyncThunk, and then create slice like that. So next is let's create our action to make the call to the external API. So here let's say create the action. All right, and export lowercase export const, let me call this one fetch post, is equal to createAsyncThunk, and here you pass in your action type. So let me call this one post list, and the next is going to be a function. And because I want to make use of async await, how to mark my function as an async. And here we are going to handle all the 8 API calls here. And guys, this one accepts a couple of parameters here. The first one will be your payload. Okay, assuming you can pass a payload to this action call. And next one going to be your action, your object, sorry. And this object accepts 3 things. 1, rejected value, and this is going to be the errors. And then get state will give you the snapshot of your state, and dispatch, you have access to dispatch here inside this function. All right, but because I want to talk to external API, I want to install a third-party package called Axios. So I like that one, so let me install Axios. So yarn add Axios like that. Okay, so what's installing? Let's get going. All right, so here inside here you're going to make the actual call. So let's bring our try and catch method here, and you can guess what do I need to make the call. Well, from Axios, let's import the Axios from Axios, sorry, not like that. So inside our try, let's make the call to that API, right? So const post is equal to axios.get, and let's look at the endpoint for the JSON placeholder post. So let's copy that and paste it here. So it will be Axios, not. So let's await that because I mark my function as that. All right, so all what I need is what? Return the state. So let me quickly destructure the actual data coming from that. And here what I need is what? Return the data. And that's all what we need. And if something goes wrong, let's return the error. And on that we have what is called .response. All right, so now we have our action. So let's see how we can handle this life cycle here. So now we have our action here. The next step going to be what? Going to be our slices, right? You can guess. So here, slices. All right, so export. So const post slices is equal to create slice, and you can guess the implementation. The first one gives you what? The name of your slice, and this time around the name here going to be what? Post, because I'm fetching posts. and then initial state. Here, let me pass my initial state as an empty object, and here I can append any properties inside my initial state, right? And the last thing you're going to be what? Extra reducers, right? Good. So here comes the magic. Here we can use whether the builder notation or map notation. So this one, let's use what? The map notation. So the array, or better still, we can use the what do you call it, the map or notation, right? So let's use the builder, the map notation. So array, and here you pass in your action that you define here. So fetch post. So fetch post dot, and we have all the HTTP, the promise lifecycle, pending, fulfilled, and then rejected. So first, let's handle the pending. So when it's pending, what do I need? Let me handle the state as that. So this one accepts a function, and this function, we have access to our states and the action coming in, right? So in here, I can mutate the state. I can add more states. So here I can say that state dot loading to true. So I've added one property to my what? To my state here. So now behind the scene, this initial state has a value called loading when it's only pending. All right, good. So now I'm handling the pending. So let's comment here, handle pending state, pending promise, or pending state. All right, so next one, let's handle when everything goes on well, handle fulfilled. Okay, so array fetch post dot fulfilled, and we can guess the same function state and my action. Then I have that. So here on my state, I can add another property called post list, and this might be available inside my state. So here it's available on what? Available on the action.payload. This is the action. On a payload, I have that state, and the payload is what's returning from this action. All right, so here going to be action dot payload, and when it's fetching, let's put state the loading to false, because as soon as it finished loading, it finished fetching it, let's put loading to false. And the last thing is let's handle the error, handle rejection, and we can guess the function and dot rejected, like that. So here at the state when rejected, let's put loading to false, and then state dot error. Let's add our own error to that, and this error coming from where? Action.payload. Otherwise coming from that. All right, so guys, this is all what we need. So now that we have our action and our slices, let's generate our action types. So the action types have been generated for us automatically. So next is let's export the reducer, right? So export default is post slices dot reducer. So now let's go back to our app here. Now our index.js file where we are mapping our reducer. Right now it has changed a little bit here, right? So let's remove this counter slice, and there let's import post slice. The name here can be anything but the post reducer, but the path to the file might be exactly as the same. So dot slices, and we have my counter slices, and here gonna be post slice. Let me call this one post. Let's save it and let's check what we have. Oh, let me start my server. Yarn start, and let's see what we have. Okay, I think I got an error. Let's wait for counter is not defined. Yeah, which one? App file number 5 app. Okay, here. All right, so let's check one more time, and there you go. I have my post list here. So now let's try to retrieve the state in our store. If you go back to our store, let's check our dev extension 2 here. Post list didn't fetch. Yeah, because I'm not dispatching the action. So now my post is empty, right? So now let's see how to dispatch the action. So the same process, use dispatch to dispatch an action, and then use selector to select piece of state from our store like that. And then our action is called fetch post action. And there we go. So I have all the things I need to make things happen. So here, let's create an instance of use dispatch like that. And then I want to bring in another hook called use effect, because I want to call my action as soon as my component mounts. So let me bring this one up here. Okay, let me even bring this one down. I'm just rearranging the import. The custom might be below the logo here. All right, React must be the first thing. Okay, so now we have our action, use effect, and use selector. So let's dispatch the action. So here, use effect. Okay, use effect, and takes a callback, and then the argument will be, the first one will be our dependencies to be an array of empty, and then here dispatch, and then call my fetch post, and there we go. So with this, when I refresh my application, where is it? And then let's go back to our dev extension 2, and there we go. What do I see? I see my post list being added. I have my state here, and I have my loading also to false at the time it was loading. So now let's grab all these of state inside our component and display it. Okay, let's get going. All right, so use selector, please come here. So let me say select store state, and use selector like that. And there we have a state called post. Remember, inside our store we said it's supposed to be post. So here, let's try to console log the post, and you see that to be available inside our console like that state. Now we have loading and then the post. All right, so loading, but we have the post. So let's make changes to our counter slice. All right, so when it's loading, is what is true, but it's field is false, and then error false. Okay, it's pretty good. So now let's destructure the post list and loading equal to post. Let's destructure the post list and then loading. All right, so let's try to console log these two. Post list and loading, and let's see we are getting the actual data. All right, so post list, they're all undefined. I think I'm not getting the actual state well. All right, so let me try again. So let's just and see the data we have. We have loading and post list is plural. So it's like this. All right, so let's console log the two. and see what we have. There we go. I have my post list and my loading. So now I can make some conditional statement that when it's loading, put into loading, and when it's fetched, let's display that. So here, let's display. Let's have just a static HR and say when it's loading, let's display H2 and say loading, place loading. Otherwise, let's map through the post list. So post list dot map. So I'm making the question mark because I don't want to make use of an operator like this, post list and then post list and then dot map, right? That's why I'm making use of the question mark, the same as that. So dot map, and then I have access to post, and here I can quickly return my GSX. And here let's have a parent, a wrapper. So here the title, let's make it H2, and then gonna be what? Post dot title. Let's see what we have. There we go. We have our title, but let's have some break in between that and HR. So after each title, and the next one gonna be what? Let's check the console. We have the user ID and body. Okay, so here let's have the body. So p tag gonna be post dot body. All right, so let's see. There we go. Now we have it. So we're making use of what? We're making use of createAsyncThunk and createSlice to make this happen with this last line of code. So if you go to our dev extension tool, you can see that all action has been called pending fulfilled, pending fulfilled, pending fulfilled. So you're going to use this one a lot. So if you're not okay with it, keep practicing, and with time you'll be okay with it.